Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, you're welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for always clicking and watching my videos. So in today's video, I made this beautiful v-neck top. If this is something that interests you, and I know it interests you, that's why you click on this video. So without wasting much of our time, let's start drafting the pattern for this beautiful top. Welcome guys, so these are the measurements we'll be needing: the shoulder measurements, the bust measurements, the under bust length, the under bust circumference, the hip, the sleeve length, the sleeve round. So these are the measurements we'll be needing. So let's start taking our measurements on our pattern paper. So the first line, which is the 8 inches, is my chest line. The second line is my bust line. The third one is my under bust line, and the last one is the length of my top. And that ½ inches over there is the seam allowance for the lower part. So now we'll start by taking the shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement is 15, so 15 divided by 2, which is 7.5. And I'll take the 7.5 again on the chest line. Then I'll just rule the line connecting the 2 points together. So after that, I'll measure my bust measurement divided by 4. And I'll add my seam allowance, which I'll be using 1 inch. So now I'll measure my under bust or my waist measurement there, and I'll add 1 inch to it. I will measure my hip measurement, and I'll add my 1 inch sewing allowance. Now I'm adding another 1 inch there because I'll be adding a dart to it. I thought I won't be adding a dart, that's why I didn't measure it earlier. So now I'll take for my nipple to nipple measurement, and I'll add ½ inch to the nipple to nipple measurement. And I also take the nipple to nipple measurement at the end of the blouse over there, and I'll connect the 2 lines like that. So what I'm doing here is I just want to draw out my dart. So I'm measuring ½ inch ish from the 2 sides, ½ inch from one side and ½ inch from the other side. So I'll connect it downward like that. Then I'll go down by 1 inch from my bust length, and I'll just rule a small straight line over there. So then I will be connecting the points. I'll connecting the line to that point. I'm just trying to do with my dart, so that's what I'm just trying to do here. And you notice we've not drawn our armhole. We'll draw that later. So now I'm just trying to take the measurements again. So my bust measurement, which is 8.5, with my 1 inch seam allowance, my waist measurement, my 1 inch seam allowance, and the 1 inch for the dart allowance. My hip measurement. My hip measurement, this is not my hip measurement, this is the upper hip. There are 2 types of hip. It is the upper hip measurement I'm using. So that is that about that. And I'll add the 1 inch for the dart. So I'll just connect the lines together like that. So this is what we have after connecting. So now we'll just draw the armhole. You can actually draw the armhole anytime. So this is the armhole I'm connecting with my marker. I just want to extend it down so that that place will not just be straight. So I'll just extend the armhole down a little, because that part is just our seam allowance, so it won't affect the armhole. Then I'm ruling out my basic pattern with my marker. So this is what we have. Then we'll be using the same thing to cut the back, and note that we won't be adding any zip allowance or anything. We won't be adding it. So increase the back bodice by 1 inches. The way I'm doing, just add 1 inches to it over there, then you roll. Then you roll and you also connect that point too. Just extend the back bodice by 1 inches. So after that, I will just cut out my back bodice with my front bodice. So after cutting, this is what I have. Then I'll be reducing my front bodice by 1 inches. Please note, you will add 1 inches to your back bodice and you reduce the normal front bodice you've drafted with 1 inch. You reduce it with 1 inch. That means the back will now be longer than the front bodice with 2 inches. So now this is what we have. As you can see, I'm trying to trim out the armhole over there. So now I will divide the bodies into 2 from that point over there, which is my under bust. I'll divide it into 2, both the front and the back bodies. So after dividing it, this is what we have. Then I'll be folding in my darts. I'll be folding it in like that, so that whenever I want to cut the main fabric, I won't be adding the dart. So I'll just be cutting it out like that. And I'll also do the same for the back. I'm transferring my dart from the front to the back. That's why I'm doing it like that. And I'll also fold the back bodies too, just to fold the 1 inch we took out the other time. So now this is what we have, and I'll just label the front band and the back band. So now this is the upper part of our pattern. I'm transferring the dart at the front also to the back. So now what we'll do now is to slant the shoulder. To slant the shoulder, just measure 3 inches at that point. Then you slant the remaining one by 1. Then you do your shoulder slope, which I use 1 inches. So now this is what it looks like. So now this is the back bodies. Then we'll be drawing our, before we draw it, let's label it so that we won't get confused. That's the back. So now I will measure my neckline, which is 3 by 1 inches. You know the dress has something like a collar, that's why the neck is so small like that. Then I'll connect the points and I'll cut it out. So this is what we have. Then I'll take the front bodies. At that point over there, I'll take out 3/4 inches. 3/4. And at the upper part, which is 3 inches that I've measured before, I'll just connect it. I'll connect it like that, then I'll trim it out. So now I'll just use one of the pattern because I folded the front pattern, that's why I have 2 pieces over there. Then I will divide this pattern into 3. I just divide this into 3. Anyhow you want to divide, just to expand it, I'll just roll it out and divide into 3. So before that, let me label it as front just divide it like that. So after cutting, this is what I have. I went ahead to cut my fabric and also the lining. So after splitting it, I put 2.5 inches in between, and I added my seam allowance to that point I was pointing at. So this is the back bodice. I went ahead to cut my fabric and also my lining, and please note where I'm adding my seam allowance. So this is the front and the back band. As you can see, it is folded. I added an extra 1 inch to the front band because there will be an overlapping at the front. So there is no need of adding seam allowance to the bottom because I already added it to the pattern drafting. As you can see, I've went ahead to cut my lining. I use a doll face material, not a lining. I use a doll face, and I added paper stay to the fabric and also to the body, to the main fabric. So this is the band for the neck. It is 4 inches wide, and I've folded it into 2. So this is the sleeve I'll be using. This is the sleeve. I just drafted this freehand sleeve. So this is what the clothes look like after sewing. So the next tutorial will be about the sewing because I don't want this video to be super long. That's why I divided the video into 2. So this is the final look of the dress after sewing, and it looked really nice. I won't lie, it looked really nice, absolutely nice. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, subscribe so that you will be able to get notified whenever I drop the sewing video, so you can understand fully. And please like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you. Turn on your post notification bell so that you get notified whenever I drop another new video, especially the sewing of this video. So this is the full look of the top, and it looks very nice. If you watch the intro of my video, you will see it on my body. You will see the top on my body, and it looks perfect, like just perfect, the way I want it.